Kia ora, I'm Tim Gander, I'm the Education Director here at the Mind Lab in Gisborne. This video is to accompany the Postgraduate Certificate in Applied Practice through the Mind Lab by Unitec, and it's going to explore what connected learning means to me, as well as some of the ideas or tools I've used to enhance connected learning along the way. Connected learning operates in a way that generates a different experience for each learner, and that is not supposed to be how basically the students interpret what I'm saying as a teacher. It should be how they create their own meaning through their own experiences. Again, supporting common themes that we've looked at already in this course around constructionism and constructivism. Previously to working with the Mind Lab, I was a teacher at Gisborne Boys High School, and recently Gisborne Boys High School was awarded the Prime Minister's Supreme Award for Excellence in Teaching. And this was a whole school effort, but two of the areas that were of particular focus were the Fakadov program and the Tu Tane program. The Tu Tane program is for all boys in Year 10 and complements their health and PE curriculum. The program aims to begin a rite of passage and enable boys to reflect on their own whakapapa and to look forward to where they want to go and where they want to be and who they want to be. The main focus of Tu Tane is developing key values in the students through practical and theory lessons, which are backed up through the 7 stages and 7 ceremonies of the Tu Tane program. Each one of the ceremonies was designed to mark a point or a challenge. It could be physical or emotional or mental. And this picture here is a picture of the boys hiking up a maunga behind the school property in Mahia, where they had to stay a night on the solo camp and reflect on the year. All of the ceremonies are active learning experiences that push personal boundaries. The boys had to make a bed for the night and reflect on who they are and what they like about themselves and what they don't like so much, what they would change and what they could change. And quite often in this world where we're so connected to everything, we almost forget to connect with ourselves. There's no phone signal, no technology, only a notebook and a pencil to write down what you're feeling and what you're thinking. And really, connected learning really starts by connecting with yourself. And if that means going on a hikoi and leaving the material world behind you, that's what you have to do. You can see this is a quite well-constructed bivvy, but I can guarantee there are some much worse ones up on the hill. And there's always a few cold boys with wet feet in the mornings. The next day, or the next part of this ceremony, leads to the highlight probably of my teaching career. And I feel so privileged to have been in this position. The following evening, after coming off the hill, the boys drag driftwood from the beach, and we light a fire for the final ceremony. This is where the boys share the reflections they pondered the night before. After 10 years at school as a student, you build up lots of layers, and this is a process where we allow the boys an opportunity to try and peel those layers off. We share and bond over differences and commonalities, and we explore diversities and understand that even in the small group of 25 students, everyone has so many things that they didn't know about each other. And the light comes on for most of them as they realise that there are another 800 boys at our school who are similar, but also different. And it's a chance to be open and share what it means to be them. Now, this is a holistic view of connected learning, but I really feel this groundwork needs to happen if trust is to be developed. And ideally, the boys should stay with the teacher for the following year, but through the school system, they generally move on to another fresh class or a different teacher. But I guess that's an opportunity to build those connections again. Overall, that was an amazing experience, and the reason why I thought this was relevant to include this in this clip is that, again, most of the powerful learning happens beyond or outside the classroom, where we have an opportunity to connect with ourselves and with our peers. So the Tu Tane program also had strong links to the community. Building whanaungatanga and including groups like the Gisborne Police was a step in that direction. This picture of the mentor ceremony, where the boys bring in a significant man in their lives, and we talk about what it means to be a good man and what are the values that we have as a community and as a school. So these efforts also spread and connect into the community. And again, through working with the police, we try and change the perception that the kids in hoodies aren't always the ones causing trouble and intimidating people. This is a shot of a community beach clean where we went down and tidied the local area. Now, this program obviously all sounds amazing, and each of the ceremonies were so extremely special and allowed those connections to be strengthened. But from my perspective, the ceremonies only happened 6 or 7 times a year. And they were so good, I wanted to work out a way where we could do all of those things all of the time and really walk the talk. So in reflection of my teaching, I wanted to extend that feeling of connectedness at the campfire at the end of the year, where we all sat around and shared who we are and connected on loads of different levels, back into the classroom. Now, education outside of the classroom is amazing, but within the confines of school timetables, classroom time and expectations, we have to spend lots of time in the classroom. So I wanted to try and change this and really enable a modern approach in a traditional classroom structure. So the next year, unfortunately, again, we had no money in the PE department to buy tech gear because we spent it all on rugby balls. But I didn't let that get in the way. So I was successful in applying for a grant with Core Education to buy some Chromebooks. And this is where it all really started. Now, at the start of the video, I mentioned that we need to disconnect from technology sometimes to connect with ourselves. But I also know that we can use technology to amplify some of the positive aspects of connectivity if we use it in a thoughtful way. So at the start of the next year, I talked to the boys and worked out what we could do and what we could do to change the learning around a bit and create class activities or tasks that were justified, reflective, authentic, engaging and relevant, and hopefully raising the boys' confidence and making a difference in their lives. It wasn't realistic to expect that a lesson on values, where I talked to them about the school values, would be as meaningful as the boys all telling me what their values were. Who was I to dictate to them what values they should have, or at least how should they be demonstrating them? So as I mentioned, the vehicle to do this was through the technology. I made a template for a Google site and then shared this with the boys through Site Maestro, which is an amazing free tool to share and maintain or monitor sites. I'll put a link up on the screen so you can see how this all works. The site was shared with their choice of mentor, so we had a way to communicate all year, and not just once at the ceremony. However, the platform or the tool didn't really make it. It was more around the design of the learning that enabled it to be truly connected. There are plenty of different tools that can enable this now, and it's just up to you to try and explore and find the right one for your learners in your school. So linking the technology with an authentic task-based program that makes the most of the strengths of the boys, implementing a model of culturally responsive teaching, each site ended up developing in its own way, and depending on the student and what they were connected to outside of school. They had ownership over it and they could do what they liked with it. So we developed these tasks and curriculum together, and clearly what was important about this was that they were co-constructed tasks that develop integrated units around universal themes, and these could be used as ways of demonstrating the values that underpin our Tu Tane program and the school and the community as a whole. This was based on the theories of intrinsic motivation and authentic tasks, but was also supported by solid content and elements of rigor through literacy and numeracy and research, and this was the key into making it work. The next step was to develop agency by allowing learners to select their own path that will motivate and challenge them. The tasks were generally creative, inquiry-based or discovery projects, so they can complete and direct them in their own way. So the tasks that you'll see coming up now are all the ones that the boys came up with, and they were real and authentic, and they were active learning experience that were moulded by the boys, and they were about them and their families, and they reflected their own culture, and they allowed the boys to develop a sense of identity, I think. It's not dictated by a textbook or a worksheet or something that's been printed off the internet, but by the tasks that are made for and by them, the learner. It's completely personal, and that's how you connect with people, really, by being personal with them. And this was more likely the way that you can evoke, encourage and sustain intrinsic motivation. Most of the experiences or tasks were also production centred, so they had to make something or go somewhere and document that. And they were also collaborative, involving writing groups or reading groups and peer teaching, as well as multi-dimensional sharing through different avenues. The boys could use any tool they liked to represent their understanding or their values. One boy made a video of him cooking dinner for his whole family one evening and interviewed them afterwards for feedback. The boys were demonstrating values outside of the school, and we needed to allow them ways to show this by connecting and learning beyond the classroom. Basically, there was more time doing and less time listening to me. It was connective and active learning, and therefore, essentially, walking the talk. So the logistics involved individual task cards that were signed off by the boys as self-assessment, the mentor and myself, and this was uploaded and integrated into the site, so the boys had a record of it. The boys designed the materials, so hopefully they were engaging, and I attempted to reduce the delay in direct instruction so that the students had opportunities to initiate their own paths, and there were plenty of tasks that allowed the development of peer coaching or collaboration, which again would lead to reciprocal teaching and more links beyond the school walls. Hopefully, this connected approach was now creating habits that extend the learning beyond the classroom. When they go on a camping holiday or a family trip up the coast or playing sport with their teams, I hope they imagine these as learning experiences or as an opportunity to demonstrate the values that they think are important. I'd like to actually follow up with the boys and see if it made a difference to them and how they thought about the learning. Overall, I found that by connecting some of the elements of learning from school with the real world that is relevant to the learners was made much easier through the use of technology. And again, a great way to demonstrate that machines have actually allowed education to develop in more of a humanistic realm through connecting people to themselves and others in their lives.